Yeah, that sounds about right.
And not only that, after doing that, after that big feat, he then went and worked for LSS for a while.
Yeah. I mean, what can you do? Win a couple callings and then go work for the company that makes your favorite game.
That's right. So now, in round 5 action, he's on Kano, choosing to play Kano in this Pro Tour, and up against. Now, I don't know how to pronounce. Is it Maciej?
That is a very good guess. I don't know if I want to try. Last name Janik.
I thoroughly apologize for any mispronunciations, but playing at 4-0, both of these players at 4-0, a big deal. And Sasha starting things off.
Just kicking it off with a Crucible of Aetherweave.
Crucible into the old Lesson in Lava. Coming in for 4. Looking now this is a very important thing to look at. How much Arcane Barrier, which is the only way to stop arcane damage, how much Arcane Barrier does your opponent actually have access to?
I see some boots.
It looks like technically 2.
Yes.
But really it's 1.5.
Yeah.
Because you can't use Crown of Seeds to stop arcane damage if you don't have an arsenal. Oh, interesting. He's just choosing to take a nice casual Voltic Bolt, knowing that your opponent doesn't have any way to stop arcane damage. Just find all the big things.
I mean, why wouldn't you, I guess?
Now, there's a lot of, there's a plethora of other lines that you could actually do here. Depending on the composition of your hand, how many resources you have to pitch, though it actually is sort of draw dependent. So here just choosing the extra damage option of banishing or putting on top of the deck, of course, the Voltic Bolt, so that you can then pay the 3 to bring it off the top of your deck and banish it, and then pay 2. And the reason that he did this line is because the last card in his hand was a red card. It was that Tome of Aetherwind. So pushing 5 damage here. There are other crazier things that you can do if you have the resources for it, though.
I mean, just a casual 5 arcane damage.
Yep. Yeah, and it's going to push some damage across the way. Now, I do want to point this out. We have been told that for the first few minutes of this match here, the life totals are incorrect.
Yeah,
but they are working to fix
6 minutes or so.
They are working to fix that as they play out. And, of course, because that was turn 0, the Starvo player is going to have a full grip of cards and just going to send a casual Spinal Crush over. Now, the Crush effect here really doesn't matter at all because Sasha on Wizard is not going to worry at all about go again.
Right.
He's really just going to play things at instant speed.
Yeah, but would you say that that 9 damage matters at all?
Yeah, 9 damage could matter to a certain degree. Again, this, though, is just a straight-up race. And do you know who's good at counting? Wizards.
Wizards are
great,
quite good at counting.
Great at counting. Very, very
known
good.
prolific counters, Wizards.
Yes, very good. They use both hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes toes.
Exactly.
I also want to point this out. Over on the headpiece on Sasha, he is playing the Ragamuffin's hat.
Yes.
Ian's hat is in play.
Ian's hat, yes. Ian Kenderdine, we saw him on coverage playing Levia earlier today.
Yep.
Famously green hat aficionado.
Yes, big fan of green hats and was wearing one earlier, and I call this card Ian's hat. That is an interesting little gadget card.
Yeah.
He's going to take the 9. Look, he's just going to say, I'll take the 9.
Yeah, I was going to ask, when do you actually want to block as Kano?
I think it's hand dependent. I mean, if your hand is just if you're super content to do like, I've got a Voltic Bolt and a blue. Okay, well I can Crucible Voltic Bolt, so why don't I save myself 6 health? I'll block with 2 3-block cards from hand, and then I'll just throw this Crucible Voltic Bolt. In that instance, it's totally fine to just jam down the 2-block card because weirdly enough, Kano's actually pretty solid at blocking. Most of your cards block 3.
Yeah, that's actually true, yeah.
That one doesn't. That Eye of Ophidia is a fable. It blocks for nothing, but what it does do is allow you to opt 2 when you pitch it.
Which is, for Kano, pretty good because you have the ability to play cards from the top of your deck.
That's right. And looking at the cards that we can kind of make out from Sasha's perspective, I think we saw like a Lesson in Lava. Maybe there was something else tucked in there that looked like Lesson in Lava. Either way, looking at the top here, you want to know what's on top so that you can either choose to Kano it, or if you have a card like Sonic Boom, maybe you can put a Sonic Boom on top.
Yes.
So that you can go Sonic Boom into something else.
Yeah, Sonic Boom has put in a little bit of work today, pushing out some absurd damage combined with Aether Wildfire.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it's, Sasha's kind of in the tank about this means that he's got some good options, and they both go back on top. That's got to be pretty scary as Bravo.
Yep, it looks like he is just going to push a Voltic Bolt off the top of the deck, and is just going to play Crucible Voltic Bolt.
Yeah.
For the casual 6. Again,
six damage.
1 or 2 of this can be stopped, and the rest of it is just going to get taken. So he's going to Crown of Seeds.
Yep. That will prevent 1 damage. Even though it's technically not Arcane Barrier, it will prevent the 1 arcane damage.
Now, there is an interesting timing interaction. We did see the Starvo player gesture for it. After the declaring of the activation of Crown of Seeds, but before you draw the card, as the Crown of Seeds player, the wizard can respond and then play things and threaten your hand even more.
They're tricksy. They're tricksy
and
wizards.
this is why, because an Aether Spindle was also on top, or was one of the 2 cards that he could see. So he's throwing the Aether Spindle there, and that's allowing him to opt here off the top when it connects. And so this was an interesting line here where it's a line that I've actually never seen before, but it makes perfect sense because you throw the Voltic Bolt first to rip cards from hand, or to rip, I should say, the activation of Crown of Seeds,
right,
so that you can then push more damage with the Aether Spindle, allowing you to opt further.
That definitely makes sense. And it looks like...
Ooh. Now, you have a 0-card hand, so at this point what you're doing is you're looking at those and going, are any of those cards something I want in my hand? And you could also sub-ask the question, are any of those cards Aether Wildfire?
Right,
they are
right.
not, they go to the bottom. And instead you draw into, what was that, 2 Aether Wildfires perhaps?
It looks like, it's difficult to say, but I mean, needless to say, he bottomed every single card from the top.
Yep.
He's like, no, I don't want these, ship them.
Yep, and that's the beauty of something like an Aether Spindle, because if you have, for example, if you have Aether Wildfire in your arsenal already, then you use Aether Spindle to set up a kill turn. But if you don't, you just dig.
I think I see another Aether Spindle, also an Aether Wildfire. I'm not sure about the other.
Looks like Emeritus Scolding Blue is in there as well. Nice there to have that in the mix. But as the Starvo player, you want to go, okay, this is a race. All we're doing is racing. I don't have the capability to really stop damage, so I have to do one of 2 things. One of which is play this Channel Lake Frigid, if you can, and establish maybe a slowdown of the race. The other option, and if he had the resources for it, he might have done this, was that Crippling Crush that he just put into Arsenal, playing that out and just trying to push a bunch of damage, because that is another path to victory in a race scenario that we see here.
So it looks like Sasha's just going to let the Lake Frigid resolve, not
Right.
respond to it at all.
Yep.
So that will tax him during this turn.
He's going to play what looks like a blue Aether Spindle, pitching and paying the entirety of his blue there, the blue Emeritus Scolding. So normally you go like Crucible Aether Spindle, but here you're just trying to get some value out of the blue Aether Spindle by pitching it, or by playing it and pitching away just another blue from your hand. Maybe looking to arsenal that Aether Wildfire and hope that channel goes away.
Do you think Sasha's trying to, not exactly dig here, but just kind of like sculpt a good top deck for himself for maybe the following turn?
Yeah, definitely. And in fact, looking at what he has here, looks like there is an Aether Wildfire that he could choose to put on top of the deck, as well as what looks like another blue Emeritus Scolding, perhaps. Just quick glance makes it look, nope, is a blue Reverberate, perhaps. Either way, cards that you could choose to just straight up manipulate and put away and top. He's going to top both of them, which means he's going to arsenal and then draw into one or both of them as well.
Every time,
both of them.
Every time the wizard puts the cards on top, you have to be afraid as the opposing player.
Oh, he's not going to, look at this, he's not going to arsenal the, oh, he was, okay, yeah, I was going to say, choosing whether or not he wanted to arsenal or not, he did choose to arsenal the Aether Wildfire. And then a rare Starvo activation.
We have a Starvo activation.
Which can be incredibly scary to play up against. But again, if you're in this race scenario, they can activate Starvo all they want. If we have 24 damage, we win the game anyway.
And 24 damage is not unheard of, especially with Aether Wildfire.
And then if you are, and there's the Dominated Crippling Crush, if you are from the Starvo's perspective, you're like, perfect. You're not going to respond to that activation. I'm going to pay out some resources, keep some back, but I'm just going to jam this 13 Dominate Go Again Crippling Crush that's going to crush you and then make you get rid of cards. And he's just going to give it to him, and I think that's exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the back of a Channel Lake Frigid, too, so even if you tried to go off, everything would be that much more difficult.
A huge moment for the Starvo player to absolutely jam out the cards from hand for Sasha.
Yeah, this is the exact turn that Starvo really needed to kind of like, I don't want to say claw his way back in, but maybe punch his way back in, flex his way back in.
And he's going to follow it up with a hammer for 4. Looks like he did pitch the ice card, so this is threatening a frostbite. If you're the wizard in this perspective, you're like, okay, I could just double block this and live to fight another day. I could block this with a single card, but I still have the frostbite. I'm not doing anything on my turn. I could full take this, go to 4, but then I have to basically just kill my opponent over the next, 1.5 turns, basically.
How risky do you think that is with a Lake Frigid on board as well as a
Well, the Frigid
frostbite?
pops here at the end, which does open up.
Very
It does open up the possibilities for it, but you do have to pay through the frostbite. Maybe his thought here is to pitch a blue, throw the Aether Wildfire for 4, just deal some damage. Yep.
Ooh, yep. Here we go.
You know this is going to connect, but because it's not your opponent's turn, it's just vanilla 4.
Yep.
This card doesn't have any excess effects.
But 4 is not nothing.
It is not nothing, and it does get you closer to the kill range because putting your opponent at 19 feels a lot more comfortable than being at 24. Like that 20 life breakpoint is really the one you want to push past. If you can push past, and really, honestly, if you can get down to 10, the game is basically yours. 15 feels good. 20 is that number that you just look at and go, I can get there, but I'm going to have to find some things.
I can tell you, playing against Wizard, I personally don't play a ton of Wizard myself, but playing against Wizard, once you're like 15 or lower, you're like, I'm like a dead man walking. Like
it feels very scary.
At any moment, it's like you could step on a landmine or something and just explode.
Yeah, but Sasha is in a tough spot because he is going to have to present damage enough to just push this game in his favor, perhaps on the Starvo player's turn.
Yeah, you really have to make Starvo care about the damage that you're doing.
Well, even if he presents a huge major threat, it's not as though he can rip cards from his opponent's hand because they're not playing Arcane Barrier. Really, they're just saying this is only ever going to be a race. I'm not going to pitch into you more than 1 card, and it's probably going to be Crown of Seeds, which gives me another card back. So at this point, you're just going to have to kill me over the top because you're not going to have me at less than 4 cards.
Yeah, and even looking
and he hits the Pulse and the Earth card to hit another Starvo trigger, and this could be all she wrote. Depending on the attack, it's just going to come down to what Sasha can pull here.
Doesn't have any taxing effects on the Wizard side, so I mean he could still pull something out. He has a full equipment suite, 3 counters on Tunic. He's got his hat, he's got his gloves, got his boots. He's ready for a night on the town, but can he get there?
Yeah, he's got to get to 22, and that is that's a tall order. Now this is interesting because this matchup can play out like a race, but if the opponent is playing a more controlling Starvo, then it plays out completely differently. And in this scenario, forcing your opponent to have it probably behooves you when you're sitting at 22. They just have to get there over the top of 22 life, plus 1 Crown of Seeds activation. Nope, there's no arsenal. Plus 1 Null Rune.
Yep, just the Null Rune.
So you're going to have to find exactly what, like Aether Wildfire plus like some Sonic Booms, or Aether Wildfire plus a bunch of really sick banishes off the top.
Yeah, because I mean this break ground is presenting very real lethal right on the board.
Yeah. And honestly, you can't really do much to stop this and the subsequent follow-up, because you can block with a single card from hand. That blocks for 3 most likely, and then you can throw the Tunic in front of it, and that gets you to 1, and then you die to a hammer.
Whatever
if
else
you don't
got.
full block it.
Looks like we are doing the Storm Striders.
Going to have a Storm Striders activation. Paying 1 resource, allowing you to play a card at instant speed. Going to also pitch here for the Zap to Crucible. That floats 2, which leaves you exactly 2 to jam down your Aether Wildfire.
Not a bad one to have in the back pocket.
Yep. Aether Wildfire coming across for a total of 5. Your opponent can stop 1 of those.
And opponent's just like, hey, let me read what this does.
Hold on, let me read this linchpin card really quick.
I feel that happens maybe more against Wizard than a lot of other classes. Like, wait, let me read that card. What does that do again? How much damage does that do?
So I believe he's pitching the Lightning Surge here, and then taking some damage. He's going to Kano, and then before he resolves the Kano, he's going to use Ragamuffin's Hat to draw a card, and then put 1 of those cards back.
Ragamuffin's Hat,
and then resolve the Kano.
Staple of Kano these days, I think.
And then show a lesson in lava. Okay, so now you're opening yourself up to a few more options here. So you're going to pay the 1 tunic resource that you have to lesson in lava. This will connect because it's connecting for 7, which means you can go get anything from your deck. This will deal a total of 6. And the question becomes, how do you get the final 12 off of the backs of 1? You have 1 card in hand, no resources floating. You can go get something like a Tome of Aetherwind. You can go get a Blazing Aether as well.
Does Blazing Aether do it? Has he done enough damage to actually do it with Blazing Aether?
Well, it does. It totally does. I don't know why I missed that, because Blazing Aether is going to take the damage that's been dealt, but remember, it's also going to get buffed by the wildfire. So Blazing actually just seals it, I think, here just enough. He's dealt a total of 10, and then it'll get buffed by 4. So he comes across for 14 in the end, and I believe that does it. Pushing the total of 14, 14. All the way up. Blazing Aether seals the deal. Doesn't have enough resources to stop. Doesn't have enough Arcane Barrier. Comes across to finish it strong. And Sasha on Kano is 5-0.